More than ever before, the Angolan market is presenting high returns on investment opportunities for traders and investors. Earlier on, I spoke to Roger Ballant-Tremere. He's the Chief Executive of the South African Angola Chamber of Commerce. It's part of a series themed Geared for Growth, a look at African economies that are regarded as being firmly on the recovery path. Started off by asking about Angola's dependence on oil in what seems to be a volatile global environment.
The budget for this year was predicated just on a $68 to the barrel price. Because the price remained so high in the first half of the year, the Angolan Parliament has adjusted that expectation upwards to 95. So far, since the end of June, it's remained in the hundreds. So things are really looking good. They have a budget of $43 billion, of which $8 to $10 billion is for public investment. They've recovered from the situation that happened between the end of 2008 and the middle of this year. So construction bills are being paid and things are really looking good.
You talk about fiscal management on the basis of them able to manage their windfall oil prices and savings, but we do know when there was an economic slump in 2009, it's exactly those foreign reserves that suffered, and it's exactly public spending that suffered, and they incurred a deficit. The ability to move into a surplus position right now, again, is the dependency on oil, and I think that's what I'm trying to raise here, is the extent to which the government, its social projects, and this growth prospect is so heavily dependent on oil. Is that a healthy position to be in?
It's not a healthy position to be in. I think the Angolan government is very, very aware of that. And one of the areas where money is being spent at a high level is infrastructure related to the re-establishment and redevelopment of manufacturing and industry in the broadest sense. Lots of activities are happening. The recent BevCan project has happened. That was $160 million worth of beverage can manufacturing, and that's going to lead to a lot of associated manufacturing.
Within the non-oil sector, then let's talk about those prospects. You talk about infrastructure, and obviously the figures do show that construction growth is expected to be anywhere in the region of 8.3% over the next 4 or 5 years. Is that sustainable, and why?
There's no doubt in my mind that it's sustainable. Especially if the election next year, 2012, goes off as well as the 2008 election. Voter registration's happening at the moment. The people are turning out in droves. The young people who weren't 18 for the last election are there, and they really look like they're saying we're going to vote this time. That gives Angolans a better chance each time they have a new election.
All right. So democracy is deepening, participation is deepening, but what about issues of patronage and corruption? You spoke about public spending, and to a large extent the public sector is driving the growth. And for many experts this is problematic because there are just so many elements of a lack of transparency in the Angolan economy.
Remember in 2008 the MPLA argued the case for good and transparent governance. Since then, transparency has increased immeasurably. Virtually everything that you can possibly imagine, particularly the national budget, the income, the expenditure, is now visible to the ordinary people. They can now see what's being done, they can check it against what they see in front of them, and they can then vote accordingly. Things are really looking good from that point of view. At the end of 2009, the President said zero tolerance for corruption. And just watching what's happening in the courts and the work of the economic police and so on, there's no question in my mind that that is being pursued with vigor.
What about social projects? Because obviously this is a country that's coming from decades of war, and that is what has inspired the infrastructure spend. What about other areas of public spending that would help lift this economy?
Absolutely. You know, if you compare Angola today with Angola of 2002 when the war ended, more people are being educated, more people are getting health services, more people getting clean water. It's far better infrastructure, and indeed all of those things are what the people will be seeing this week at the iPAD event and in the several very interesting events involving South Africans visiting Angola to look at what's happening over the next few months.
For many investors, there are issues around doing business in Angola, from registering businesses to the time taken to close down a business, the kind of bureaucracy that's involved, to the ability to repatriate capital. How well do the banks work? Because obviously they're a source of public credit or credit for public projects, but also that is to a large extent how Angola can increase on its asset base as the government looks for more interesting ways to save and to invest.
Indeed. Angola has just adopted a new investment code, and in association with that investment code there are several other laws, like a new central bank law and so on, anti-money laundering law and so on. When you go in to establish your investment, you negotiate with the central bank what you would like to repatriate in due course in terms of dividends, profits, etc., and you get it approved from the outset. The banking sector is very active, very normal from the point of view of electronic funds transfer, use of credit cards and all that sort of thing. Again, Angola today is not like the Angola of yesterday.